hot seat, we got Miss Boyd with Streets Don't Love You Back organization, right? Yeah. And you all have now produced a full documentary on Papa Snoop himself, right? Correct. Entitled The Detroit Mailman. And we were talking a little bit about your formative kind of years in Detroit, right?
Right.
And what you saw as a mailman. So how did the documentary itself come together, right?
Well, let me tell you a little backstory real quick. In 2013, I met Snoop's mom, Beverly, and I edited her book called Real Love 2. And we brought her on, and she sat as a board member on our organization for the last 10 years before she passed away.
Okay, nice, rest in peace.
We had seen Pop at a couple times at Snoop's compound for Beverly's party and something else, but we hooked up with him at her funeral, and we got to talking afterwards, and he knew that I edited her book, and so he wants to do a book, and so he asked me if I would edit his book. And we talked a little bit, and Rob and I stayed in a hotel with a lot of the family, and Snoop had sent vans for everybody and bussed us back and forth. And so Pop invited us to ride back to Snoop's compound in a limo with him. Right. And he knew who we were. He saw us a few times, but he didn't really know who we were.
Right.
And so once in the limo, he started talking to Rob, where are you from? Rob says, I'm from Detroit. And Pop's like, oh, really? I live there. What side? And Rob says, east side. He said, I had a house in the east side. And so, of course, that brought everything together.
Right.
They had a common bond, Pop Snoop was a mailman in his neighborhood. Rob was one of the major drug dealers back then in that hood. And they knew the same people, they knew the same situations, they hung out at the same places. And so it was just an immediate connection.
Like, oh, you're from the D? Okay, yeah. Right.
And so we had been working on some documentaries called The Trapped in the Hood. Of course, our organization, we started in 2009 with the goal of educating against gangs, drugs, violence, and abuse. And so we had an internet radio show for years that we told people stories. And then a couple years ago, we started the documentary Trapped in the Hood, where we started out pretty much with Rob's stories and his friends, and then we started adding other people and their stories of the crap and the horrible life they had, maybe drugs, abuse, violence, whatever, gangbanger, drug dealer, sexually abused, whatever. And then we tell the story of how they overcame that and what they're doing now to better their lives.
Nice, okay.
And so we asked Pop if he would be on our episode then that we were planning for episode 8. And he said he would, and started sharing their stories. And Rob came up with the concept, well, let's just do a documentary on Pop called The Detroit Mailman. And we'll tell that story about how it was back in the day in Detroit. Okay. And so he hit me up, because I'm the camera person and the editor. And I'm like, sure, sure. So, it's been almost 3 years that we've been working on it. We've had our ups and downs, illnesses, COVID, all that stuff we had to all get through. We went back to Detroit last June, and we went and took Pop back to the old neighborhood and through all the streets he used to walk on, door to door, and we did his documentary. And it's a story about then, but it's also a story, about that time, which will never happen again. In the early 80s, drugs was rampant. It was different. Murders and mayhem and all kinds of stuff, especially in Detroit. And they were both there. They were part of it. On two different sides, seeing, a different perspective, but seeing the same thing. And so it's an amazing story. It's going to be a legendary story, and we're having this premiere here in Arizona because this is where we're from. We're going to have another premiere in Detroit. I think in April. We're still trying to get the date exactly set. And then we're going to shop for a movie deal. So, and then we're also going to start the book and get that going, either the end of the 24 or beginning of 25. So,
so when y'all do the movie, I just want to be like man reading the newspaper at bus stop. You know what I'm saying? Y'all just let me know I got you. You know what I'm saying? I do it free of charge.
Was there anything when you guys went back to Detroit to shoot? Was there people that you reconnected with that you haven't seen in a while?
Oh yeah. But what happened was my boys that I started out with on the west side, 8 Mile, Illinois. Those are my original boys, right? And some came from Texas. 2 of them came from Florida. They came up to support me, and they Lucinda interviewed them, and I've been knowing these guys since '85, right? So they remember when I had my landscaping business away from the post office, we supported together and everything, man. And at the end of the day, man, they supported me and everything. And those are just the guys I work with.
Right.
But now that everything is coming to full circle, I'm getting all kinds of hits on Instagram on little young kids. Because when I left my route, I was on my route for 6 years. When I left it, a lot of those guys were like 10, 11 years old, but they never forgot me.
Right.
Right. So now they hit me up there, hey man, we can't wait. I mean, I got people hit me up from everywhere. I know a lot of people in Detroit. Probably more than Rob, because we got mail, man. You know what I'm saying? I had 47 stops on my route.
And you get to see people every day, so
Every
you become a part
day.
of their life, right?
Yeah.
I know their business, they respect
You're
them.
part of their daily
Yeah.
story.
Right. I'm really your family.
Yeah.
So I watch kids grow up. I watch some go to college and become somebody. Watch some go to jail. I watch some get killed. But they haven't forgot about me. One thing about me, everybody on my route liked me. I was like clockwork. Okay. I had a lot of welfare people on my route. Okay. We know.
Waiting.
No.
That's what food stands for, paper.
No. That changed like on paper. That changed like in '87. Cause we was getting robbed. Okay, just got the paper. But I was buying food stamps for some of the people in my route that the crackheads. I used to buy a whole book for 50 $50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Cause they was on crack, right? But that being said, man, that the problem I have with the welfare people on the 1st and the 15th, that's the only time you would see them. One thing about a welfare route, man, people don't get a lot of mail. Okay, I've been in neighborhoods on the west side in Sherwood Forest and Green Acres, and people get mail like this.
Right, stacks.
Right, the mail I was getting on these sides was like this. So what they was do on check day, they'd be in the parking lot waiting for you. I got sick of it. So me and my boys came up with a scheme. Okay, beat me on Ballport and Chandler Park. I'm gonna give everybody their check. When I give you your check, go down and pay the area for the 25-cent cigarettes. They take a pack of cigarettes and break them down. They charge 25 cents for a cigarette.
Lucy's, yeah.
Right, Lucy's, right. You know what time it is. And I go pay him. And we come and bring me $10 a piece. So multiply $10 a time, about 35, 40 people.
Right.
And I'm getting paid every 2 weeks from the post office. So that money kept me going until I got paid. You feel me?
Hustle on top of hustle.
Right.
That way I can go out there and deliver my route in peace. Cause if you didn't do that, they'll chase you up and down the street all day long. My grandmother got to go to the hospital. They come up with all kinds of excuses. I put into it.
So when you out there, right, and because of you were in such a unique position,
Right.
you got to see a little bit of everybody's work, right?
Right.
Out there. Was it hard to stay neutral? You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I stayed with something. Well, I was cool with all the drug dealers. I had a bunch of them on my route. The east side, like I said, was infested with drug dealers. West side, it was here and there. When I got on the east side, it was a different world. I lived on the east side. But it was, I was working on the west side, but when I started actually working on the east side, that's when I ran into all the big time drug dealers, man.
Yeah.
They took care of me, because one thing about it, they had a club called UBQ. Rob knew about it. That was a club on the east side. And that's all the drug dealers hang out at the party. But Shakeland was they this everybody made up.
It's like headquarters.
Headquarters, yes,
Right.
Shakeland. on Alter Road. Okay, Rob knew about it. That was
Rob was there.
That was the hookup spot. I know I seen the Curry Boys. I seen White Boy Rick one time, because the Curry Boys, they call them Little Man, Big Man. They live on the same street I lived on. They like 3 or 4 blocks down. So Rick knew I knew them, right? But after that, he got locked up. But like I said, I mean, a lot of them guys, man, knew what they was doing. But unless they got killed, I went to jail. This one really hit me. I didn't realize they was that big. I thought they was just nickel down. No, they was costing dollars, man.
Getting it in.
It was taking it in.
So do you feel like your story, right, of being able to maintain a nice neutral position, right, and emerge on the other side of that Detroit culture, successful, right, in film, served as an inspiration?
Yeah, a big inspiration, man. Come tell you what, Detroit. See, I'm saying, LA, man. LA's, if you ever been to LA people in LA are more isolated.
Right.
Now, you really can't say you got a bona fide relationship with nobody, because you might have a neighbor here today and they're gone. A lot of people in LA is in transit.
Right.
Detroit, them people have been in their houses. They grew up in their houses. They there. They big fans. They worked at Ford, Chrysler, and GM. So it was like family, man. So I felt at home. The matter of fact, the best 10 years I've ever had in my life was in Detroit, around drug dealers. Cause they didn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they took care of me. Period. Yeah. Go to the club, man. Hey, they're going. They call me LA. They're going to be up, man. Hook them up.
Make sure you're all right.
Right. I seen the FBI came out to look for somebody. We went around. I kind of, man, kind of slowly roll, change location. We went around. Like I said, I'm one of them. I don't do what I had a job. They didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
So we got Vernell Varnado, aka Papa Snoop.
Right.
The Streets Don't Love You Back.
Right.
Organization right here in the building. We're gonna jump into another record. We'll be right back because I want to pick your brain just about what it's like to be father to the most recognizable hip hop star and then on the planet, right? On the planet. That's gotta be wild, man.
Yeah.
Keep in mind right here, we're gonna talk a little bit more with Papa Snoop in just a second.